Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Maine. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Police guarded this corner yesterday. Today, the familiar sight of Mylar balloons marked the spot where a local musician's voice was silenced.
I was there, but I ain't see it. Yeah. Hating on the kid. Yeah, they met, they never beat me.
24-year-old Dominic Gant went by Nick Breed. A local rapper from Edmondson Village, the musician was regarded as an up-and-comer, a voice growing in popularity and influence. Police say he was shot dead on this spot. Neighbors say it sounded like a drive-by. There are still no leads in this case.
Normandy, Loudon, and Franklin, streets in the heart of Edmondson Village.
This gang had nothing to do with football. NFL actually stands for Normandy, Franklin, and Loudon, streets passing through Edmondson Village, where the gang spread terror and murder.
Federal officials describe the gang as having a chokehold over this neighborhood, the base of their operation. From 2016 through March of this year, they go to social media and to try to intimidate witnesses and to brag about their criminal activities.
This case is a textbook example of how a dangerous drug trafficking organization sells deadly poison on the streets and uses violence to grow and protect that miserable and lucrative revenue stream.
The NFL gang took its name from 3 streets that run through Edmondson Village. The federal indictment alleges the gang committed 4 murders, 1 attempted murder, and engaged in murder-for-hire schemes, not only paying for a hitman, but pulling the trigger themselves for money. According to federal agents, 1 gang member directed a drug enterprise while in jail. Court papers charge the gang sold massive amounts of heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine. The drugs, the feds say, resulted in 5 fatal overdoses, including the death of a gang member's father.
We're talking about a gang of criminals who care only about themselves, who devastated neighborhoods and destroyed families. The residents of Edmondson Village should not have to live in fear. They should not have to feel that their silence is the only choice.
The indictment alleges gang members use social media to intimidate and threaten cooperating witnesses, and to use their name. Officials say they would engage in public displays of aggression and firepower. 1 defendant purchased a firearm equipped with a laser sight. Federal officials credit Baltimore City police officers with helping to build this case.
More than 50 count indictment. Federal prosecutors outlined how the so-called NFL gang held a tight grip over Baltimore's Edmondson Village neighborhood for years as they allegedly peddled drugs on the street, killed witnesses, and intimidated anyone who got in their way.
Normandy, Loudon, and Franklin, streets in the heart of Edmondson Village that federal prosecutors say the NFL gang not only used as their namesake, but also as the center of their criminal enterprise.
The NFL gang defended their turf.
Not far from that turf, U.S. Attorney for Maryland Robert Hur laid out today how the NFL gang allegedly used fear, intimidation, and even murder to hold the neighborhood hostage for years.
When a gang like the NFL enterprise digs in and takes hold, the tragedy spreads far and wide.
In a more than 50-page indictment, that reach is made clear. Prosecutors alleging that NFL members trafficked and distributed drugs across Baltimore and the region, leading to at least 5 fatal overdose deaths, including one of the members' own father. The indictment also says the gang's members used violence and threats to intimidate witnesses of their alleged crimes. One member is even linked to an alleged murder-for-hire plot.
This is the MO of these gangs, and they've dominated these neighborhoods for too long.
Thuru Vignaraja is a former federal prosecutor and says this indictment shows the control gangs have across the city.
All of these are the consequences of a gang culture in Baltimore that is out of control, and a federal indictment like this is part of the solution.
And while this indictment has helped take down one gang, even Baltimore police admit there are plenty more still terrorizing other sections of our city in crisis.
This criminal organization is a classic example of those that perpetuate a culture of violence in our city and a culture of fear and intimidation.
Now, 16 suspected NFL members are named in this indictment alone. More than 50 others have been charged in other cases by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Some have already pled guilty. Others are serving time.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb Ties. We on our way to Maryland with it. Bodymore. Motherfucker, I just got a spot out here because I'm around this bitch so much, man. We headed to Edmondson Village. Y'all niggas meet us there. On Normandy, Franklin, and Loudoun. Shit about to get popping, my nigga. Now, the organization we're going to be covering today is going to be an organization called the NFL, and those initials stands for where y'all going to meet us at, nigga. Normandy, Franklin, and Loudoun, nigga. And according to the government, it was 16 people charged, but that shit go deeper. That shit is like almost, just doing my research, it was like 2 and 3 indictments tied together. And I don't know, like I can't really definitively explain why they're tied together, but I'm definitely going to give y'all my theory. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about the 16 alleged members and associates of the Southwest Baltimore's NFL gang. And this shit is wild because just the first shit, man, shit standing off to me as soon as before I even start breaking down the case, the age range and the people that were indicted for being in that gang, it goes from age 21 all the way to the age of 62. So, and almost every shit that hit in the middle. So it was definitely not people automatically gonna be like, oh, this was young boys. Nah, this was some grown-ups down with this shit too, my nigga. But this shit just kind of before I go into the details of the case, I'm going to detail the people that were involved. And standing right at the head, honestly, because it was like a separate indictment for Gregory Butler, a.k.a. Gotti, a.k.a. Sags, a.k.a. Little Dick, age 28. That's right. Y'all heard that right. I don't know what the fuck niggas be going by, but he was, according to the government, well, let me put it like this. Whenever indictment comes down and you're indicted with 20 people, but your name is popping up like 10 times throughout the indictment, oh, they're going to try to make you the head of that conspiracy, my brother. So we're going to have Gregory Butler, and he's going to be 28 from Baltimore. We're going to have Darren Malik Butler, a.k.a. Leak. He's going to be 21 from Baltimore, and I don't know if they're related, but I'm going to say they have some kind of relation. I'm going to go out on a limb with that one. Have Bobby Cannon, a.k.a. Freaky, 23 from Baltimore. Darian Cook, 27 from Baltimore. Jawan Davis, a.k.a. Fat Daddy, 24 from Baltimore. Edward Buddy Hall, a.k.a. Guar, 54 from Baltimore. Timothy Leggett, 29 from Bunker Hill, West Virginia. Devon Owens, Gusto, 31 of Baltimore. DeAndre Preston, a.k.a. White Boy and Whites, 23 of Baltimore. Desmond Reganauld, Worm, a.k.a. Fool, 28 of Baltimore. James Henry Roberts, a.k.a. Bub, 29, also from Baltimore. Terrell Sanders, a.k.a. Pretty, 32, also from Baltimore. Nathan Stanley, 48, from Rixieville, Virginia. Jamie Wagner, 37, Stevens City, Virginia. Laura Warner, 36, Berkeley County. And Emmanuel Watkins. Oh, Laura Warner, 36. I said that. And Emmanuel Watkins, 62 of Baltimore, would be the last defendant charged that they would name the NFL gang. I don't even know if they was running around saying that's who they was. This should be just so wicked, man. Covering this shit, the government will say, oh yeah, this is this gang. But in the separate indictment, they just pretty much called them the Butler DTO, which is drug trafficking organization. So who knows, man? Sometimes the government just gotta make that shit sound sensational. But according to the 33 count indictment, from 2016 to March 26, 2020. March 26, 2020. Gregory Butler, Darren Butler, Cannon, Davis, Preston, and Roberts were all part of the NFL criminal enterprise, which has social and familiar ties to the Edmondson Village neighborhood in southwest Baltimore. The term NFL, like we spoke on earlier, stands for Normandy, Franklin, and Loudon, which are 3 adjacent streets that run through the Edmondson Village. Now, in a 4th superseding indictment, it alleges that those 6 defendants engaged in a pattern of criminal racketeering activity, including the acts of murder, narcotics trafficking and smuggling, illegal firearms possession, bribery, witness intimidation, and witness retaliation. Now, the shit is just, the information is all mixed up, but if you remember in the video, they said somebody was running a drug trafficking organization from behind bars. I'm gonna go out on a limb to I'm gonna put my money to the table and say that was Mr. Butler, but I could be wrong. But more on NFL. In the 4th superseding indictment, that alleged that NFL members and associates purchased, maintained, and circulated weapons and firearms for the use of criminal activity by the NFL members and associates, sometimes obtaining firearms and drug customers as form of payments, obtaining firearms from drug customers as a form of payment in exchange for drugs. According to the superseding indictment, NFL members used firearms in connection with the enterprise illegal activities, including drug trafficking and the acts involving murder, and used violence, threats, and intimidation to prevent victims and witnesses from cooperating with law enforcement against NFL members and associates about criminal acts committed by the NFL gang. Now, NFL members, and according to the indictment, NFL members and associates were involved in murder and attempted murder, including murder for hire schemes. NFL members and associates offered bounties for the murder of witnesses and rivals and allegedly acted as brokers, connecting hitmen with individuals who had offered bounties for the murder of witnesses and rivals. NFL members and associates also allegedly carried out contract killings to enrich themselves and to retaliate against witnesses and rivals. Now, further, the 4th superseding indictment alleged that the NFL members and associates used social media to promote the enterprise, including by posting displays of wealth and advertising affiliation to the NFL enterprise, as well as to intimidate and to retaliate against actual and suspected witnesses, including by posting displays of firearms, brandishing firearms, intimidating the use of firearms, and revealing information about the identity of suspected cooperating witnesses. In addition, NFL members and associates assisted incarcerated NFL members and associates by moving evidence and contraband for them and assisting with their drug trafficking operations while they remained incarcerated, including smuggling contraband cell phones and controlled substances to correctional facilities. And it's going to go on further, and this is how, when I say they single out Butler, this is just totally separate. They're going to say from at least 2016 through his arrest in April 3rd, 2019, Gregory Butler allegedly controlled a drug trafficking organization that distributed large quantities of heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, and crack cocaine in Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. The indictment alleges that in order to maximize their profits, members of the DTO cut the heroin and crack with other substances such as fentanyl and diethylamine or some shit like that. And whatever that shit is, it's an ingredient that's often found in sleeping pills. And as detailed in the 4th superseding indictment, the defendants were aware that the drugs that they distributed were causing overdoses, with at least 5 overdose deaths being attributed to the distribution of those drugs by members of the conspiracy, including the father of one of the conspirators. Now, that shit is just a doozy in itself. So, just imagine being down with a damn drug gang. And there's plenty of stuff. We all heard the stories of niggas like, oh, they had to sell crack to their family members or their mom because, you know, what's the number one shit niggas always say? Oh, they gonna get it from somewhere. But just imagine doing that shit and that shit kill your daddy, nigga. That shit wicked. And y'all know what it is, man. It's the streets. It's your boy Popalot, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all get in the comment box. Let me know what y'all think about this shit. Shit, wow. What y'all got going on, Baltimore? Wild ass niggas and shit. Y'all, and like I said, y'all get at me in the comment box. Let me know who we need to cover next. Y'all get at me under the pictures on Instagram in a direct message, however y'all want to handle it. It's your boy Popalot. We're gonna be back with some more real trill spill shit. It's the Mobb Ties.